What is it like to live in Cambodia as a foreigner? Well, let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot better than it is living back in the United States. It's a lot cheaper and you get more bang for your buck. But before we get into comparing the costs, my 30-day living expenses between living here in the capital city of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, to where I used to live in Orlando, Florida, USA, you better sit down because I'm about to blow your socks right off your feet, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so let me be the shock jock of the month, all right? I'm just gonna blow out and tell you exactly my total bill, all in, living here in Cambodia. Now, I can't speak for any other parts of Cambodia. Maybe it's cheaper in the rural areas like Siem Reap and all that. But this is what I'm paying in the capital city of Phnom Penh. $603. Okay, I gotta put that $3 in there because that's what the total came to for the month. $603. So let's break this down. What exactly did I spend my $603 on? Okay. Well, what's the biggest living expense that any of us ever have? The roof over our head, the roof is on fire. Well, actually it isn't. We'll keep it under control, right? No, but living expenses, you got to have a bed to sleep in and a pot to piss in as well, right? So my rent here is $330 a month. I have a huge one bedroom with a king size bed. This living room you see, separate kitchen, 2 bathrooms, 2 aircon units, and a wraparound porch about 180 degrees. And I pay $330 a month for that. Now, when I first signed my lease with my landlady, it was $350. But I renewed my 6-month lease with her recently and I talked her down. I negotiated with her and she gave me a $20 discount. So I'm just telling you guys, even though you get into a lease initially up front for one set price, before it renews, if you plan on staying, try to, negotiate. Sometimes, some of them will go down on rent. Some of them might just say, hey, I'll kick in paying for half your power bill. Or, maybe we'll give you an upgrade in the apartment. Do you need a microwave? Just do it. Because right when the lease is due, they want to keep you because they want the money. Okay, baby? So they're willing to negotiate. Now, some may be assholes, just like back in the States, but your chances out here are pretty good that you're going to get something. So be sweet. Don't be mean. Be a sweetie because you attract more bees with honey. So be sweet when you negotiate because then you get a sweet old ass deal. All right. Okay. What's the second biggest expense for me here in Phnom Penh? Well, my power bill would be my second biggest expense. Now, compared to the States, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I only run my air conditioner at night after 6 p.m. until I wake up the next morning. When do I wake up? Whenever the hell I want to. I'm retired, right? So I could wake up anywhere from 7 in the morning if I'm feeling frisky, or I can wake up 10 o'clock in the morning if I'm like dead tired and want to sleep in. That's the beauty of being retired. So my power only runs between those times as far as my electric. Now, of course, during the day, you got the refrigerator running. That's it. And then whatever I need to charge or my fan is running, open up all the windows. So I save power by not running the AC during the day. $70 is my average. In fact, last month, that's all I paid, $70 for my electric bill. Now, obviously, if I ran it all during the day, it would cost more. But if you can get by with a fan during the day, which I can, I have 9 windows in this apartment, it's no big deal. As long as you have air moving, you'll be fine. So don't be a baby. Buy a fan, invest in that, and cut your power bill in half, okay? Next thing is my water bill. What do I pay for water? A whopping $5. $5. And that includes sewage and trash. And it's as much water as I want to use. Okay? I could take 20 showers a day. I can run my laundry 50 times a week. I'm still only paying $5. Why is it just $5? Because my landlady said that's all it is out here. She's like, everybody pays $5 on their water bill. And I was like, cool. Not that I take advantage of like running all my water, but yeah, that's super cool. Now, what about Wi-Fi? Well, here's a sweet package deal. When I signed the lease, my landlady gives me free Wi-Fi. I don't pay shit for Wi-Fi. Now, grant you, her Wi-Fi isn't the best in the world. We have a little problem with bandwidth, especially when she hops on in the evening with her kids. We have to fight over the bandwidth. And in that moment, I might have to burn my personal hotspot off my own cell phone, which we'll get to how much I spend on that per month in a minute. But that's it. I maybe have to do it for an hour each night. And the rest of the time, like when they're gone during the day at work and school and I'm here by myself, I have total access to bandwidth and it runs perfectly fine. And it's free, as in zero, baby. Now, what about the cell phone? Okay, you're thinking, okay, you got to burn your personal hotspot. How much is her cell phone bill? $5, baby. Just like the water bill. $5. I have something called the Smart Plan. And this is one of the many cell carriers that are out here in Cambodia. I prefer them. They have really good coverage out here, and I get 40 gigabytes per month for $5. Okay. You can't beat that. That is for data. Okay. But it does cover some text and some phone calls. I mostly just get it for data because that's all I need. As far as phone calls, texts, I mean, I have my own Mint mobile plan from back in the States to keep my US number so that I can actually have access to the two-factor authorizations through my banks to get those codes so I can get into my money, you know what I mean? And also I can burn off the Wi-Fi with my Mint mobile and I can call anybody back in the United States for free. So it's pretty cool, sweet deal. And hey, by the way, I have a link in the description where you can get $15 off any plan through Mint Mobile. I personally pay $180 a year to keep my phone number with Mint Mobile for those reasons. But yeah, as far as like everything else that I do out in Cambodia, it's through the Smart Plan. It's $5. It's 40 gigs of data. And then a lot of times I just communicate with my landlady and anybody else through WhatsApp. WhatsApp and also Telegram are two big apps that you should download because everybody uses them out here in Cambodia and it's free. So keep that in mind. All right, we covered all of that. Now, what about food? What about food? I mean, we all got to eat, right? Well, I mean, groceries. Okay. It's just me. Now, of course, take this with a grain of salt. I don't have a kid to support and feed. I don't have a significant other. It's just me. And you can spend as much as you want on groceries, depending if you want to buy Western foods, or you can spend as little as you want on groceries if you want to stick with local foods, which is what I do. I splurge every now and then. Like if I want a jar of peanut butter, or if I want a little block of cheese, this is all Western expenses, then I'll go ahead and blow some money and do it. But the majority of my month, I buy local, I buy fresh, I buy good meats. And by the way, guys, pork, chicken, and duck are super cheap out here. I'm talking a big old slab of pork, $1.50. I mean, come on, you can't beat the prices out here. Very fresh, very good produce. I pick up a lot of fruits and vegetables. The store that I shop at, that I think is a very nice, modern, Western type of store, but with all of the good local stuff in it as well. It's called Super Duper. Okay? So if you're ever here in Phnom Penh, check out Super Duper grocery store. I think you'll really enjoy it. But yeah, what do I spend? I'm rambling on. I spend an average, guys, per month of $100. I was just thinking, yeah, I 25 bucks a week times 4, 100 bucks a month, all the food I can possibly eat. I mean, and you can see this homegirl she ain't starving, okay? So I'm doing good with groceries. 100 bucks a month. Now, what about eating out? You're thinking, well, does she eat out? Yeah, I eat out. Of course I do. I go out a couple times a week and I treat myself. And if you watch some of my other videos, especially my live streams, you'll see of all the different cafes and restaurants that I go to. And you can get some sweet deals. Again, you can go to the Western restaurants or fast food chains and you could spend a boatload of money, or you could just go to the local stuff and get as cheap as you can, or you can go anywhere in between. You can get Khmer food, Japanese food, Vietnamese food, Thailand food. I mean, Thailand food, is that a thing? Thai food. So yeah, I mean, for example, I went the other day, I was craving miso soup. So I went to a local Japanese restaurant, decorated just like I was in Osaka, Japan. I got a bowl of miso soup and I got a couple of barbecue skewers of pork belly, and it cost me $4, guys. $4. I had my own bottle of water. I'm cheap. What can I say? I didn't even have to buy a drink. I spent $4, okay? So for the whole month going out, I spend roughly under 50 bucks a month eating out. 48 bucks a month. Because I set a budget at $6 every time I go out, and I hit that target, if not less, every time. It's sweet. Now, what about transportation? I don't own a motorbike. Oh, no, no, no bueno. I don't drive motorbikes, okay? I don't own a car out here. I sort of walk. I don't own a bicycle. Now, I do take walks. But it is hot, and mostly my transportation centers around tuk-tuks, okay? If you don't know what one of those are, they're open window, three-wheeler kind of motorbikes. It's like you got the guy driving you wherever you want to go. You can get it on the Grab app. You can hook up your credit card to it so that you never have to haggle. It gives you a set price. It's just like Uber back in the States, and it's like, for a 30-minute tuk-tuk ride across town, it literally will only cost me maybe $3, maybe $4 one way, depending on how far out I want to go. But like, for instance, from here to the grocery store for me, and it's literally maybe a mile up the road, it costs me like 80 cents. Like, it's super cheap. So my transportation, just hanging around the city and doing whatever the hell I want to do, it runs me about $45 a month. Now, you can go cheaper. If you want to, if you ain't in no hurry and you want to take public transportation, they have it. They have a local public transportation bus that runs you through town. 37 cents a ride. I have never personally done it because I hear it's really late and slow. It's not something like, if you like, let's say you get a teaching job out here, and you need to be at work at 8 o'clock. I don't think that's going to be the move, because who knows when the hell the bus is going to show up at the bus stop. So unless you've got hours to kill, I wouldn't do it. I would take the tuk-tuk. And like I said, 45 bucks a month. I mean, come on. Last thing I want to go over is the entertainment. Well, your homegirl is a cheap MFer, okay? I'm just saying, I brought my frugality from the United States to Cambodia. I don't want to spend money on entertainment, okay? I look for things that are free to do in town, like zero cost. Like, what am I talking about? Taking a walk along the riverbank, free. Going to a Buddhist temple and exploring, free. Um, Walking around neighborhoods I've never been to, free. And there are some actual cool places, like you can go to college campuses and explore. Like I went to an arts college campus, which was just as good as the local art museum that they charge money to get into, and it was free. So my entertainment, and besides, I love to people watch. Okay, like I like to pick a really cool cafe. You can sit outside and you can hang out by the street, and you can just watch people. You can watch the local people and how they move and what they do, and it's pretty cool. So people watching is, you guessed it, free. So all of that is totally free. Whoop, whoop. What up, what up, what up? Let's go, let's go, let's go. Who's that chick? All right, we went over my expenses here in Cambodia. Now, how does that compare to what my expenses were back in my home country, America? I came from Orlando, Florida. Actually, I was in a suburb, or I wouldn't even call it a suburb. It was like a sort of rural kind of town outside, 1 hour drive west of Orlando. I lived in a place called Winter Haven. I always say Orlando because nobody knows where the hell Winter Haven is. Okay. Winter Haven's actually outside of Orlando in Polk County. If anybody's a Florida fan out there, you know what I'm talking about. Yeehaw, baby. Ford pickup trucks. Yeah. Trump flags everywhere. I'm just saying that's the way it is in Winter Haven. And rent is supposedly cheaper there. Was one of the reasons I lived there. The rent was reasonable. Now, I'll grant you, these prices I'm about to quote you were from 3 years ago, before I left the United States and started traveling and then moving to Cambodia. So God only knows what the prices are now. And if you are in Winter Haven and you can tell me what the rents are now, drop them in the comments below because I'd like to know. But I'm just going to tell you, first of all, my grand monthly expenses are 4 times more living in the States than they are here in Cambodia. I spent, and I was frugal, okay? And I had a kid that I was raising, but I spent roughly $2,570 a month just to live. These are just the bare minimum. I'm going to go over the same breakdown. Let's start with the rent. My rent at the time for a small, I'm talking small, probably the half the size of the apartment I got now, was $1,100 for a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. Yeah, $1,100. And before I left the United States 3 years ago, before I, could renew my lease if I wanted to, those dudes were trying to jack my rent up by $200. They were going to raise that rent to $1,300 a month. So God only knows what it is today, but I was paying $1,100 a month. Okay. My electric bill was $200 a month every single month of the year. Now, Florida is like Cambodia. It's hot. The only difference is they don't make apartments like they do out here. You can't just open your windows, turn on a fan during the day and be comfortable, because I just think the way they make the buildings, they make them paper thin, the insulation's paper thin, and you will just sweat to death, even with a fan on. So I always had to run my AC 24/7, and especially with a kid. I had my son at the time, and he was always sweating. So unless it was a cool day, which was rare in Florida, maybe 1-2 months out of the year, I could open the windows. I was running it 24/7. Excuse me. Now, I was on what was called an average pay plan. So in other words, you do your power bill regular. Like some months it could be $350 a month. Another month it could be $150 a month. They take an average of all your payments throughout the year. It was my power company. And then you can go on the average pay plan, and mine came to $200, which is cheaper than $350, which was mostly during the summertime per month. But it was more expensive in the wintertime than, say, paying $150 a month. So it was like a balancing act. But at least I knew what my bill was. And I wasn't like shell shocked when I got the freaking electric bill. You know what I mean? So that's what I paid back in Florida. Now, what about the water? Well, it sure as hell wasn't $5 a month, baby. Put another zero on top of that. I paid $50 a month average for my water, my sewage, and my garbage. Yeah, and that was average. Depending on my water usage, it would fluctuate up and down. So it wasn't a flat $50 a month, but it was an average of $50 a month. And that sucked. Next thing was my Wi-Fi. We all need Wi-Fi, right? Well, my Wi-Fi, from what I remember, was $100 a month. Yeah, it was $100 a month. And that was the cheapest thing I can get in Winter Haven, Florida. And then moving on to my cell phone. Okay, I did get a good deal with my cell phone. I think I was with T-Mobile before I left. And like I said, I had my son at the time living with me. And I was working for State Farm at the time. And my T-Mobile was giving discounts for people that worked at State Farm. And if you had more than one plan, they would give you a deep discount, right? I'm so sorry, but I got a frog in my throat. So anyway, long story short, for 2 lines with my deep discounts, I was paying $120 a month for both of us. But I'm just going to count him out, and I'm going to say it was $60 a month in my calculations just for me. I know a lot of you guys out there are paying a hell of a lot more for cell phone coverage out there, or you might be getting the real low plans, but that was my average bill, was $60 a month on my cell phone bill. So let's go. Okay, now what about the groceries? Oh my God. Like I said, I'm a frugal MFer. I use coupons. I looked in the local flyers or online or on the newspapers of all the deals that are the sales that were running. I would hop in unison because I had shops around me that were in like a 10-mile radius. And I would go to 3 different stores to do my grocery shopping because the deals were better at different stores. And I made sure that my driving path was an exact circle so that I wouldn't waste gas bouncing from one end of town to the other. So here's my stores. Okay, before I tell you what I paid on groceries. I would shop at Aldi to get the bulk of my groceries because it was cheap. I would shop at Publix to get specialty items that were on sale with coupons. And then I would go to Family Dollar. If you guys know Family Dollar, I would pick up all my paper toiletry products at Family Dollar because it was cheaper there and they would run their sales. So with all of that going on, I would spend an average of $560 a month. Some of you are probably like, damn, well, that's pretty cheap because I'm spending more money than that. But this was 3 years ago. And this is, like I said, with me being super ass cheap and using coupons and sales. But compared to what I'm paying now in Cambodia, $560 was outrageous. Okay. Then we move on to eating out. Okay. Well, now, I wasn't big on eating out because, like I said, I was a cheapster. All right. But me and my son, I would treat him. We'd go out to eat once a month. I said, okay, just once a month. Let's pick a restaurant, and the bill has got to be $100 or less. So that's all I spent. We would eat out once a month, and that would cost me $100 for the 2 of us. Yeah. And most of the time, if I could get away with it, we would order like maybe one big meal and one appetizer, and we'd split it if the restaurant would let us. Or he would order like an iced tea and I would just get a water, so it'd only be one drink. Or we'd go to a buffet. You know how that's one set price, like Golden Corral or whatever, and it's all you can eat. So we would do something like that and try to keep it under $100. Yeah, this is what your homegirl had to do to survive back in Florida. And then the other thing, let's get to transportation. Well, obviously I had a car. There's no tuk-tuks in Orlando, Florida, or Winter Haven. And actually, we had a public bus out there, but it barely ran from one end of Winter Haven to the other, and it sure as hell didn't go into Orlando or Tampa. They more or less screwed you. And the way things were built out there, like I had a Walmart that was probably within walking distance, but let's face it, when it's 95 degrees outside and you've got 4 or 5 or 6 bags of groceries that you're carrying back home, it ain't going to work, even with a bicycle. So you almost are stuck needing a car, and you need a car to get to your job and this, that, and the other. Now, grant you, my car was paid for 3 years ago. If you have a car payment, you know what I'm talking about. I did have a car payment. It was roughly $400 a month, but I paid that bad boy off as fast as I could and got my car payment to zero. And just calculating the gas and the car insurance for the month for my car was an average of $280 per month. It was roughly $40 to fill up a gas tank every week, and it was roughly $120 a month for my car insurance. Why was it so cheap? I was grandfathered into State Farm. I did not get a discount because I worked at State Farm. I had State Farm car insurance, but even though I was an employee, they did not give us discounts. I wish they did, but they didn't. But I was with them for so long on their car auto insurance that my rates went down, and I managed to get it down to $120 a month. So I was pretty damn lucky on the car insurance. So anyway, what about entertainment? Oh my God, this brings back super bad memories, guys. Like, you know, your girl right now is over 1 year sober. Like, I haven't touched any alcohol outside of some rum balls. Not my fault. I bought some rum balls at some bakery out here, and I thought they was just going to be like imitation rum flavoring, but the dude must have poured a whole damn bottle of rum in the mixture and just, yeah, this tastes good, and just like rolled up rum balls. And when I ate that, I think I got drunk, okay, because my head was hurting the next day. I think I had a hangover. Outside of the rum balls, I haven't touched a drop of beer, cocktails, liquor, nothing. I'm clean sober. But back in Florida, it was like there was nothing to do in Winter Haven. If you know Winter Haven, it's got a bunch of lakes out there. So if you have a boat, yeah, it's something to do. You can take the boat out on the lake. You can go swimming, you can go skiing, you can go fishing, right? But if you were like me and didn't own a boat, there's really nothing else to do. So what did I do? I went to the local bars. They had 3 nice bars off of Lake Howard. If you've ever been to Winter Haven, there's a huge lake out there called Lake Howard. There's 3 dive bars that are off that lake, and all of them are cool. Okay, I'm just going to say, I mostly went for the entertainment on the weekend because they'd have free live entertainment, free rock bands. Oh my God, really, really good bands out there. Of course, the drinks weren't free. Sometimes they would run specials like buy one, get one free, just depended. But most of the time it wasn't. So your girl would be drinking because that's what everybody else was doing at the bar. You know, you're getting into the music, you're getting loose, you're having a beer, you're having a shot of liquor. I think my favorite back then was the vanilla Crown Royal shots. I freaking loved them. And I think there was something else, but I forget what it was. But yeah, girly drinks, stuff like that. I wasn't really a big beer drinker, but that's really what I would get into. But what was my expense? Well, I spent roughly $120 a month on alcohol because I mean, I might like buy a bottle of wine or something to have it at the house, but I didn't do much drinking during the week. My thing was like a weekend warrior kind of thing. So I spent roughly $120 at the bars. Shameful to say, what a waste of money. But again, there was nothing else to do. So in my defense, that's what I did. And I think that's what a lot of you guys do too. But yeah, that was my entertainment. So that came to $2,570. And compared to my expenses now, $603. Like, I can't believe how cheap it is to live in Cambodia. I'm just a wild and crazy guy. I'm just a wild and crazy guy. Thank you to everyone who has purchased a Cambodian t-shirt. I've been getting great reviews on how soft the cotton is for this Phnom Penh weather, how nice it is and how good it feels on your skin. So thank you for supporting this small channel by making that purchase. And also, if you want to get in on this deal, I mean, I've only got a small batch of them left. So don't forget to click the link below the video and get yourself a t-shirt today before supplies run out. Hey, don't run away. Click this next video and learn how this Dallas, Texas man met the love of his life and now lives here in Cambodia. You're gonna love it. Bye.